experts in the UK or Europe. That's why they were so scared of you guys and had to shut you down, because you're smart, well-spoken, prestigious, getting results, helping people, had to be destroyed. But they failed. You came back like the Phoenix, and that's so exciting. So break down where that fight's going right now as well.
Certainly. Let me start with John Walker Smith. When the GMC rendered their opinion and had their decision and had us struck off the medical register in the UK, both Professor Walker Smith and I filed an appeal. And I did not get funded for my appeal. It would have cost me about £500,000, which I didn't have, to fight that appeal, so I had to withdraw mine.
Because they destroyed your livelihood.
That's right. His was funded, and he took it to the High Court. This was the first time it had ever been in front of a proper judiciary. The judge, Justice Mitting, destroyed the GMC, destroyed them. He essentially accused them of being incompetent, unable to handle evidence. They did not know how to. He accused them of being biased. They rejected evidence that was valid. They had no idea what they were doing. Yes, they did, actually, because they were doing it deliberately.
Well, they were setting you up.
They had been given their marching orders, and they were going to get a guilty verdict, whatever. And at the end of it, counsel on behalf of the GMC admitted, said, we're sorry, we know our mistakes were made, and we didn't handle this properly. And the judge said, it would be a shame if this were ever to happen again. You go away and you change your whole process of conducting these fitness to practice inquiries. So it was demolished. However, they got what they wanted, and that was taking my license away.
And now autism rates have gone, I mean, they vary. The highest are in South Korea, correct me if I'm wrong. It's like 1 in 30-something. It's 1 in 50-something here now. It was 1 in 68. It was 1 in 25,000 30 years ago. I mean, I can see the children when I'm at the grocery store or I'm out in public. Kids aren't looking too good. And the babies aren't, and I mean, you go to a movie theater, sometimes the thing is just full of autistic children, God bless their little hearts, you know, babbling, and just going through hell. And I go to doctor's offices sometimes to, you know, take my children to the pediatrician, and I'll be in there and there's like 15 kids and like 5 of them are autistic. I mean, this is an epidemic. Is it going to be 1 in 10, 1 in 5, 1 in 2? I mean, how long will this go? How many? I mean, does half the population have to be sitting in the corner in diapers, cussing when they're 15 years old, screaming at their parents before we do something?
I think the way to look at this, Alex, is look at the CDC's own numbers on this and look at the trend over time. It's now, what, as you say, around 1 in 50. If you extrapolate from that and you look at the risk for autism for a child born today, it's 1 in 25. And it's estimated that by 2025, it will be 1 in 2 children will have autism if nothing is done about it. And that is completely, the situation now is completely unacceptable. But that will be a disaster. No economy in the world can sustain that kind of attrition of its population. So something has got to be done immediately.
Well, yeah, something was done. Have you read Eco Science, written by the current White House science czar?
I have not.
It's pretty interesting. They talk about social engineering through medical systems, water and vaccines to get people in line. It's pretty interesting. It was written by, they think there's too many people, Paul R. Ehrlich, Annie H. Ehrlich, and John P. Holdren. And this book is digitally online for free. They try to pull it down when people find it because it's pretty shocking. This was basically adopted by UNESCO as a global shadow policy to carry out social engineering through medicine.
Right. Well, keep an eye on your copy, Alex. I might have to steal it before I go.
Well, you can borrow it. You're certainly welcome to.
Thank you. But, you know, and the other issue is what happens? Okay, there are 2 elements to this. There's the epidemic that's occurring now, and then there are the children who are already damaged. What do we do about those children as they age out and they become adults? As you say, sitting in diapers at the age of 15, 20, 25, unable to cope, unable to deal with themselves. And we had a tragic case here in Austin the other day of a young man who was in a group home in the district, in the community, and a simple thing happened. I think someone stood on a DVD of his. He had a meltdown. He went running around the district, knocking on doors, and he was shot 4 times, shot to death. These people cannot cope in the community. They have no idea.
Yeah, it's scary when a 25-year-old autistic man's at your door, and we're sad he got shot. But, I mean, and cops are shooting them all the time, too, because you get some guy running at you screaming. I mean, it's...
Yeah, and nobody understands the problem. This is the problem. The people out there in the community do not understand what autism is or that these individuals have no sense of danger whatsoever. So what are we going to do with all of these autistic adults? And that's a tragedy. And someone here in Austin, Polly Tommy, is creating the Autism Trust to provide a long-term home for these individuals where they won't be drugged. They won't be simply put on psychotropic medications which have no indication in autism whatsoever, but make life easier for the carers.
I think I met him out in Lakeway.
Polly is, you probably met her husband.
Yeah.
The husband and wife team. And
he was showing me all the stuff they're going to build at the campus. Pretty amazing.
Absolutely, that's right. So it's an exciting time for people here in Austin, but one of these places is not going to be anywhere near enough. You could have 10 or 15 in Austin alone, let alone the rest of Texas or the country.
Well, I know a lot of personal friends, some quite famous people as well. I mean, you'll be on the phone with them, and, you know, their kids in the background going just over and over again screaming at them, I mean, for hour after hour after hour. I mean, it is... I couldn't think of a way to debilitate a society better. Yeah. You know, they came up with the 223 to just wound people in Vietnam because they found that would debilitate the Vietnamese if they had to have 5 people take care of somebody who was just wounded instead of dead. Well, that's what this is. It's like a walking dead. I mean, they're just walking wounded. It's incredible. Stay with us. We'll be right back. I would jump up with energy. I would run out there, and I would try to get the child out front of the car. Because I've done that before. You know, been on the highway and a car flips. People are stuck. And we help get people out. I'm not a hero. I saved a lady one time with a Heimlich maneuver. Came out of the bathroom. No one was helping the lady. She was turning blue, falling over on the table. They just kept saying, call 911, call 911, call 911. And then I went over there, and she coughed up all this bread, and people thought I was a hero then. That's why we're in so much trouble, is that it's not heroic to do the right thing to help people. And the instinct to stand up against tyranny has been lost to a great extent. Everybody needs to go to autismmediachannel.com, get the data, send it to Congress, get involved today. Because there is a war going on, and we need to mobilize against Big Pharma and the social engineers that are engaged in this. We need to take action. And I got to tell you, Dr. Wakefield, your partner's been exonerated. You don't have the money to go through the process. You were saying during the break they should just, you know, exonerate you, but they don't want to step down that far and admit that they're that wrong. But what are they going to do as the vaccines just keep ravaging everyone? They're going to lose this fight in the end.
Well, one thing I want to talk about, Alex, one of the most insidious problems with this is that I was sent a 7th grader's test the other day, standardized test for 7th graders across the country. And it said, 10 years ago, a doctor wrote a paper. He made it all up, and since then, we've all been much sicker. And then there were a series of questions that these 7th graders had to answer, which went along with that notion that there was fraud, it was all made up, that children weren't being damaged, that vaccines weren't causing problems. And here's the problem, that you had to give them the answer they wanted. So to pass the test, you had to comply. And to comply, you had to lie. And that is the poisoning of young minds. That is what the Nazis did in schools to alienate school children from foreigners, from the Jews. They called them foreigners. How many aliens, they say, lived in this country?
Auslanders.
Absolutely extraordinary. And that same thing is happening now in schools. And if you do not give them the answer they want, you will fail the test.
Well, that's Common Core. That's exactly what they do. They'll have questions like, guns are killing more people now. How do we stop it? We ban them. And they're just putting brainwashing directly into the tests themselves. It's outrageous.
It's incredible because, you know, what that will do is self-select those people who are compliant, not the people who think critically and ask questions and say, no, actually, I've read differently, or my child, my sibling, my brother or sister experienced this, and I know that vaccine damage is a real problem. Fail. Out.
Look at this article. McDonald's gives free vaccines with Happy Meals in Texas. Would you like a hepatitis A shot with your Happy Meal? Anthony Gucciardi, and it's out of Amarillo.com, is the original article. Can you believe that?
And do McDonald's give informed consent at the same time? Do they hand them that product insert and say, here are a list of the problems that you could have with this vaccine?
No, I don't think they do.
No, of course they don't. It's absolutely disgraceful. These things are being treated like candy. And these are viral agents or, you know, sort of mutations of viral agents or extracts of viral agents that have a known downside. And yet they're being given in McDonald's. In what, exchange for a Happy Meal? Absolutely incredible.
Well, instead of getting a toy now with your GMO Bill Gates garbage, you know, he's on the board with those folks. Instead, you now get a loving vaccine on top of it. We'll be right back with the final few minutes with Dr. Wakefield.
GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
The month of February is all about Valentine's Day. Big heart-shaped boxes filled with delicious candy. What if we, the Patriots, hijacked Valentine's Day and instead made it about human liberty and individual empowerment? I'm all about human potential. I'm all about the individual being empowered. The establishment is the opposite. That's why they spike our water with fluoride and GMO estrogen mimickers and the rest of the garbage. InfoWars is striking back in the month of February with Human Empowerment Month. How we can come together and win the human race. And to celebrate the kickoff of Human Empowerment Month, we're slashing prices on InfoWarsLife.com products like Super Male and Super Female Vitality. The sale is only running for the month, 20% off, and there's a lot of other powerful specials at InfoWarsLife.com. InfoWarsLife.com, celebrating human potential in the month of February. Visit InfoWarsLife.com to find this special and many others in the month of February. Again, InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139.